So it's Parshas Vayeitzei. Vayeitzei. Yaakov mi be'er shova vayelech chorona. We're not talking about the typical travel from one point to another, from one geographical location to the other. We're talking about leaving Eretz Yisrael, the promised land, and going to and leaving the home of his parents, leaving a home where there's an onon koshur al ha'oihel, and going to Choron, Chutz La'aretz. Rashi says in Parshas Noach, Mokim shecharoin af shel mokim ba'olam. And he's really not going as it sounds, Vayelech Chorona, but he's actually escaping. He's running away, as it says in the Haftarah. Vayivrach Yaakov Sdei Aram. His life was in danger. Esav wants to kill him, as his mother tells him. V'ata b'ni shma b'koili v'kumbrach lecha elovon ochi Chorona. But over there, he gets there. I mean, it's not that much better. I mean, he's dealing with Lavan Ha'arami for years, and he has to become an Ochiv Biramos. You know, Parshas Vayeitzei is an exceptional parsha. I mean, the Parshas Shavua, because there are bechlal no units of parshios in Parshas Vayeitzei. What do I mean to say? You know, in the Torah, there are 290 Parshios Psuchos, and there are 379 Parshios Stumos. They appear in the Chumash. A Pei is a Psucha, and a Samach is a Stuma. Not to be confused with the Parshas HaShavua. The Parshas HaShavua is a later thing. That we divided the Kriya Satorah into 53 units. But in Parshas Vayeitzei is the only one of the Parshas HaShavua that we have where there's bechlal no chalukah. From the beginning of Parshas Vayeitzei to the end, it's a Parshas Stuma. There's a Samach before Vayeitzei and a Samach after Vayeitzei. It's all Stuma. And the Dazekeinim Ibalei HaTosfos already says that that's because Lefichoch Parsha Zu Stuma Mipnei Sheyotza B'tzina Mipnei Esav. He was in hiding. He was escaping. He was fleeing. And therefore, it's a Parshas Stuma. So probably we can learn from this parsha how one should deal with life when it is a parsha stuma, and that's what we want to discuss. Yes, sometimes life is challenging, and we're living through a parsha stuma. How do we deal with it? So you know, in the end of the parsha, we have a pasuk v'Yaakov holach ledarkoi vayifgeu boy malachei Elokim. Rashi brings from the Midrash Tanchuma that Malachim, who are these Malachim? Vayivgu boy Malache Elokim. Zokt Rashi that these were Malachim shel Eretz Yisrael, bo'u likrosoi, lilavoisoi lo oretz. That Malachim came from Eretz Yisrael to accompany him lo oretz, as he's coming towards Eretz Yisrael. So we're talking about Eretz Yisrael dike Malachim that left Eretz Yisrael, went into Chutz La'aretz in order to bring Yaakov back to Eretz Yisrael. The Ramban asks that this is a stira with what Rashi says in the beginning of the parsha. Rashi says, Malachei Elokim oilim v'yoredim boy, that the Malachei Eretz Yisrael went up and the Malachei Chutz La'aretz came down, because the Malachei Eretz Yisrael don't leave Eretz Yisrael and go to Chutz La'aretz. Therefore, they were oilim, and nu Malachei Chutz La'aretz came down. So how can Rashi say, asks the Ramban, that the Vayivgu boy Malachei Elokim, as Yaakov is still in Chutz La'aretz, going towards Eretz Yisrael, the Malachei Eretz Yisrael come to Vayeitzei La'aretz, Malachei Eretz Yisrael don't go to Chutz La'aretz. Azoi frek the Ramban. Maybe we can say like this. You know, the Gemara in Kiddushin Daf Lamed Aleph Amid Beis brings a story that Rav Asi Havalei Imaz Kana. He had an old mother. Amrulei Be'ina Takshitin. She wanted the jewelry. Ovadlah, he made a Takshitin. Be'ina Gavra. She was an almana. I want a husband. Na'ayin loch. He said, I'll look into it. Be'ina Gavra the Shape Kavosach. I want a husband that is like you, handsome as you. Shavka v'azal Arad Yisrael. He couldn't handle it anymore, and he left her, and he went to Eretz Yisrael. If you look in the Hagor Sagro, he says that she was, she lost her mind. She was a meturefes, as the lashon of the Goyen. So Shavka v'azal Arad Yisrael. Shama v'ka azla basrei. When he was already in Eretz Yisrael, he heard that she's coming to Eretz Yisrael. She's following him. Am I allowed to exit Eretz Yisrael and greet my mother? So he said, L'kras ima mahu, for my mother's sake, may I leave Eretz Yisrael? And then Isach Purta, he got a little upset. The Rebbe got upset. Did you make up your mind to leave? You should come back safely. Also, don't go. Maybe the Rebbe Yochanan is going to get upset. So he said, what did he say to you? If he would have been really upset, he wouldn't have blessed you, and therefore you could leave, because if Rabbi Yochanan in the end of the day said that he approves of your going to greet your mother in Chutz La'aretz. Now, you know that if you look at the Rambam in Hilchos Malachim, Perek Hey Halacha Tes, the Rambam says also Latzeis me Eretz Yisrael Chutz La'aretz Lo'olam, that there's no heter to leave from Eretz Yisrael to Chutz La'aretz Elo Lilmoi Torah Oi Lisa Isha and Oy Lahatzel Min Ha'akum V'Yachzel La'aretz. So V'chein Yoitzehu L'Schoira, but the Rambam does not bring that there's a heter for Kibud Ava'im to leave Eretz Yisrael. So L'Choira, the Rambam is ignoring this Gemara where we see that there's a heter to leave Eretz Yisrael for Kibud Ava'im. So maybe we can say that when a person is wanting to go somewhere, he's when a person has a desire to go somewhere, if his mind is set on being somewhere, it's as if he is there. Meaning to say, Rav Asi went to greet his mother, who was in the direction of Eretz Yisrael. So she was going to Eretz Yisrael, and therefore she's considered as if she's. Do you know that what? I couldn't read that. I don't have. Okay, so since she's going towards Eretz Yisrael, it's as the when he's coming to accompany her in the direction of Eretz Yisrael, it's not considered as if he's leaving Eretz Yisrael, but because he's going out to accompany somebody that's coming to Eretz Yisrael. If we can say this, then we can say that the Malachi Eretz Yisrael, that according to Rashi, that with Vayivgu, but V'Yakov Holach L'Darkoi, Vayivgu by Malachi Elakim, are not considered as if Malachi Eretz Yisrael are leaving Eretz Yisrael, because they're going to bring somebody into Eretz Yisrael, somebody whose mind is already set on Eretz Yisrael, and therefore it's not considered as if they're going to Chutz La'aretz. As you know, the Baal Shem Tov says, "B'mokom shemachshavtoi shel adam shamhu nimtza." A person is where his mind is. You know, there's a pasuk in Yehoshua, capital Hey, that says, "Vayehi b'hiyois Yehoshua b'Yerichoi," and this is actually before they conquered Yerichoi. And the pasuk says, "Vayehi b'hiyois Yehoshua b'Yerichoi." So the Ralbag says, "V'hine harotzen ba'amoroi vayehi b'hiyois Yehoshua b'Yerichoi machshavtoi mishoy tetes shom." His mind was in Yerichoi, and the pasuk says, "Vayehi b'hiyois Yehoshua b'Yerichoi." So, in the same vein, we could say that Rav Asi's mother, who was Ka'ozla Eretz Yisrael, and Yaakov Avinu, that's in the direction of Eretz Yisrael, coming out to greet them is not considered leaving Eretz Yisrael. You know, in Kapitel Chof Tes Pasuk Yud, it says when Yaakov Avinu saw Rachel, and he Vayigash Yaakov Vayogel es Even me'alpi habe'er Vayash es Tzoin Lovon Avi Imon. So Rashi says Vayigash Yaakov Vayogel Ke'odam hamavir es hapkak me'alpi atzluchis. Like somebody removes a cork from a bottle. Even though we're talking about a big rock that was on the be'er, he removed it as somebody removes a cork from a bottle. In other words, Rashi is being bothered. How does Rashi know that it's kemavres apkak me'al piatzluchis? Because the pasuk says Vayigash Yaakov Vayogel. It's obvious that if he was Vayogel, he was Vayigash, because how would he be able to take it off if he didn't come over to do so? So Rashi is bothered. Why does the pasuk have to say Vayigash? And Rashi's saying that Vayigash Yaakov Vayogel is to teach us that as soon as he came over, he took it off. And that teaches us that he did so with no effort. So it's Ka'adam Hamaver Es Hapkak Me'al Pi Atzluchis Lo Hidiacha Shekoichoi Godel. This is to teach me that he was strong. Why is that something the Torah wants to tell us, that Yaakov Avinu was strong? We know Loi Bigvuras Hasus Yechbots. Horsepower is something that the Rebbeinu Shalom is not interested in. Loi Bigvuras Hasus Yechbots V'loi B'shoikei Ha'ish Yirtze. Yeah. Vayeitzei Hashem es Yireov. Why is it Loi Bigvuras Hasus Yechbots? Because you know that before a person is born, it's already predetermined if he'll be a chachamay tipish, a gibor cholosh. It's not something that we choose, and therefore it has really no value. It's only roitza Hashem es yireov hamayachlim l'chasler, because hakoil bidei shamayim chutz miyiras shamayim. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that has real value. That has real value, and therefore we say Ezehu Gibor Hakoivesh Es Yitzroi. What determines Gvura is if a person is Koivesh Es Yitzroi. That's our Gvura. But physical strength is something that's predetermined, and therefore it has no value. So why would the Torah want to teach me that Yaakov had physical strength, that he was able to take the rock off the be'er, kimavres apkak me'al pitzluchis? My Rabbi Yoshe Ber Soloveitchik said that, earlier in the parsha it says, "V'hinei anochi imoch." HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised Yaakov Avinu, "V'hinei anochi imoch ushmarticha b'chol asher telech." So you're talking to say that the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu was imoch, and he guarded Yaakov Avinu, he protected him, was by giving him physical strength. That was the kiyum of the haftacha of Hine Anochi Imach Ushmarticha B'chol Asher Telech. Therefore, the Lohidiacha Shekoichoi Godel is really telling me that promise was fulfilled. But this is l'chara tzarechim. This is shver, because the pasuk says Mafurish in Yirmiyah, the Kapitel Amid Aleph, Ki podo Hashem es Yaakov ugeoloi miyad chazak mimenu, which means that Esav was still chazak mimenu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu was geoloi miyad chazak mimenu. So it doesn't seem like the ushmarticha b'chol asher telech was mekuyim by making him strong, because Esav was still stronger. But it's Yedua, the Bali Musa bring the in the Piyut for Tfilas Geshem, we say Yichad Leiv v'gol even me'alpi be'er mayim kenevak loy sar bolul me'esh u'mimayim. The Python compares Yaakov Avinu gol even me'alpi be'er mayim, his taking the rock off the be'er mayim, to his milchama with the angel that was bolul me'esh u'mimayim. So if we're comparing it, obviously we're not talking about physical strength. if we're comparing this to the Vayeitzei ish imoy ada lois hashachar, and the Python is saying that the Gol Even was through the Yichad Leiv, the consecration of the heart, meaning that the Koichai Godel is really not about physical strength, but it's about his mental power, his dedication, his emotional strength, and his being totally dedicated to the cause of taking off that Even in order that the Tzoyin should be able to drink and the Royim should be able to continue their work and they shouldn't waste their time. So the Lahidiacha Shekoichai Godel is really about is teaching me a very important lesson that a person is really not dependent, not totally dependent on circumstances and on physical abilities. If a person can tap into deeper koiches that he has, that he's not even aware of, if he cares enough and he wants enough, he can do things that on a regular day he can't do. And that's the Yichad Leiv V'Gol Even Me'alpi Be'er Mayim Kenevak Lo Yisar Bolul Me'eshem Mimayim. And that's also the idea of Lahidiacha Shekoichai Godel. The Torah is teaching me that Yaakov Avinu was Koichai Godel. The Torah is teaching me that Koyach is not necessarily physical strength, but it's about how much you care. We also find in this parsha earlier in Kapitel Chavtes Pasuk Aleph, Vayiso Yaakov Raglo Vayelech Arza B'nei Kedem. Now we know that somebody that goes obviously lifts his legs because you can't move without you can't walk without moving your feet. So why does it have to say Vayiso Yaakov Raglo Vayelech Arza B'nei Kedem? That he lifted his legs. So Rashi says, Mishenes baser besoira toiva shehuftach b'shmira nosa liboy esraglo v'nase kal loleches. So you see that his heart lifted up his legs. In other words, if you have a positive attitude, if you're walking with happiness, I mean the walk becomes much easier. Again, it teaches us that the physical abilities are dependent on where your heart is and not vice versa. Yeah, as the pasuk says, "V'hu kechoson Vayeitzei mechupasei." We compare the sun to a choson that's Vayeitzei mechupasei. Yosis kegibor lorutz orach. So you see that he's not really a gibor, but he's Yosis kegibor lorutz orach, because if there's a Yosis, if there's happiness, then it brings out it's nosa liboy esraglo v'nasa kal loleches. In the beginning of the parsha, Rashi talks about the steers, about where the sulam was and where Yaakov was when he had the dream. And Rashi mitoich the steers and the rayas lekanu lechan, Rashi comes to the conclusion that Yaakov Avinu left Be'er Sheva and he got all the way to Choron. And when he got to Choron, he thought about the fact that he passed the Mokom she'espalalu bo Vayeitzei. He passed the Mokom she'espalalu bo Vayeitzei, and he didn't daven. And therefore was Yohiv Daite. He made up his mind to go back to Yerushalayim. And he began walking towards Yerushalayim. But when he got to Luz, the Hara Moriah came from Yerushalayim to Luz. And from that point on, Luz, the name of Luz was changed to Beis Kale. And Rashi says, "B'zeh haloshen v'im toimer u'k'sho'ava Yaakov al Beis Hamikdash madua lo yikvoi sham." Why was there a need to do this whole thing? I mean, Yaakov passed the Beis Hamikdash. Why didn't HaKadosh Baruch Hu just stop him there? The answer is, says Rashi, "Ihu lo yohiv daite lehispalel." He didn't put his mind to it. He wasn't yohiv libe lehispalel b'mokim shehispalelu avoisov. Min hashamayim yakvu, so they should stop him in hashamayim. That doesn't happen. Ihu at Choron ozal, he went all the way to Choron, etc. Kimota lechoron, when he got to Choron, Oma efshe she'avarti al mokim she'espalalu boy avoisai v'lo yispalalti boy. Then it was Yohiv daite lemeheder. the chazar at base scale, the kaftzalei haaretz. Meaning, a person could be in the best place, but if his mind is not there, if he lacks the awareness of the kedushas hamakom, the importance of where he is, it has no meaning to him. And therefore, and min hashemayim, they're not ma'akiv him if he's lo yohiv, ihu lo yohiv daite. As Chazal say in Tainus Daf Kaf Aleph, ein hamokoim mechabed es ha'adam, elo hamokoim, elo adam mechabed es mekoimoi. The mokim has no meaning if the person is not aware. And when a person tunes in, I mean, then every mokim could become an important mokim. And then the Haramiriya comes to where you are. Yes, so the distance really doesn't matter if your attitude is the right attitude and your heart is in the right place. Like you see by Moshe Rabbeinu says, Asuro no by the sneh, Asuro no ve'ere es amare hagodel hazeh, madua lo yiver asneh, vayar Hashem kisor lirois, vayikro elav elokim iteich asneh. Rashi says, Asuro no, Asur mikan li'eskarev l'sham. But without that initial move of Asura mizeh li'eskarev l'sham, nothing would happen. But when Vayar Hashem kisor lirois, when he wants to be there, that's when it happens. So it's all about the yichad leiv v'gol even. It's about the nosa liboy esraglo. It's about the yohiv daite lemeheder. It's about the asura no, the physical circumstances and the physical koiches don't really determine what we can do. It's vice versa. It's the pnimius, the karotzen, it's the attitude, it's the want. That's what actually can allow us to tap into abilities that we otherwise wouldn't have. And you could be in Chutz La'aretz, and as if in Eretz Yisrael, like Rav Asi's mother and like Yaakov Avinu when he's going towards Eretz Yisrael. And that's really all part of the Parshas Stuma of Golus, that it's kind of mind over matter. In terms of matter, I mean, sometimes, things are very difficult, very rough, impossible to deal with. But if you switch your mind and you put your mind in the right place, you can overcome much of the challenges that Golus presents. That's a way to live through a Parsha Stuma. That's actually the tachlis of the Parsha Stuma. You know that in the beginning of the Parsha, it says, Vayifga b'mokoim. Rashi says that Vayifga b'mokoim, and one pshat is a Lashon Tefillah. So, b'mokoim, according to this Parsha, this means mokoim is a reference to the Rebbeinu Shalom. But there's a very interesting piece in the Sefer Beis Aharon for Rebbe Aaron Kalina. He says, Vayifga hu Lashon Tefillah. She'espale lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu shebechol mokoim sheyeh shelo yeh liboy choluk al hamokoim ubechol mokoim yeh liboy shava im hamokoim. Wherever you are, any place you are, you shouldn't be choluk al hamokoim. Don't be displeased. Don't be upset about the place you are put in. He says, K'moshe omrim b'shem Rav HaKodesh, Reb Shlomo Karliner is Zecher Tzadik Livrocha. Almadi Isa b'Medrash v'chein Pirish Rashi b'Chumash al Posik v'ahavtos Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavecha v'zokt Rashi shelo yeh lipcha choluk al hamokim. Parshas, it means you shouldn't be choluk. You shouldn't have a machlokes with the Rebbeinu Shalom. But that's a pretty. That's a harsh thing that somebody should really have a machlokes with the Rebbeinu Shalom. That wherever, in any mokim that you are, you should serve the Rebbeinu Shalom. If they're in a certain place and they're not serving the Rebbeinu Shalom, if they're in a place they don't want to be, they say that the place, and this is not only a geographical place, obviously, it's a mental place, it's an emotional place, whatever place, somebody can be in a place where he feels that he is not able to serve the Rebbeinu Shalom in this place. So he says, Ve'enam oivdim l'Hashem Yisborach. Oimrim she'hamokim gorim. Ki im hoya be'ez hamokim acher. Bevadoi hoya oivdim l'Hashem Yisborach. Al zeh omar hamedrash. Shechalila loy makein. Lezeh omar shelo yeh lipcha choluk al hamokim. Ki lo hamokim gorim chas v'sholem ezem aniyah l'avodos Yisborach. Ki kevon she'akoil me'ito Yisborach. Person has to believe that everything is from the Rebbeinu Shalom. V'rotzain Hashem Yisborach hu sheyeh ha'odam ka'es b'makom hazeh. It's Hashem's will that I should be now in this place. Mistama golui lefonav Yisborach shezeh hamokim lo yigrem shum meniyah chas v'sholom l'avodos. Rak hameniyah mitzad ha'odam. Lokach omar hamedrash shelo yeh liboy choluk al hamokim shehu shom. V'al zeh ispal Yaakov Avinu shebechol mokim sheyeh lo yeh liboy choluk al hamokim. And that's the vayivga b'mokim. V'achar kach omar vayolen shom. So he says, vayolen shom, ki lefa'amim yesh ba'adam, eis ba'adam she'avoida kosher, ve'ein lo shum tainug me'avoida shaloi. A person doesn't feel any real connection with his davening, with his learning. He feels asleep. But Yaakov Avinu taught us that you can connect with the Rebbeinu Shalom even when you're sleepy, even when you're down and out. Vayishkav ba'mokoi mahu. And he found the Rebbeinu Shalom even in that state of mind. And he says, "Vayikach me'avnei hamokim, haynu be'eis shero aliboy kosho ke'even, oz vayosem merashoisov." Yeah. That, anyway, he goes on, and that's the idea. That's the idea of Yaakov Avinu. On one hand, it's vayivrach Yaakov stay arom, but he does it as a vayelech Yaakov chorona. In other words, his attitude is not that he's escaping, that he's fleeing. His attitude is vayelech. As I probably shared with you what Rebbe Meir Bloch said at the first meeting for the Telze Yeshiva when he escaped the Holocaust, and he convened a meeting in New York to establish the yeshiva. And he said that if you look in the Haftarah of Mocha Chodesh, it says that Yonason says to David that if the chitzim will be memchova holo, then you have to escape. Then you know you're in trouble. But he tells him the lashon is lech kishilachecha Hashem. Go, don't come to show. Lech kishilachecha Hashem. Go because Hashem is sending you. Hashem sent you. So he said that a yid believes that even when he's escaping something, it's not really an escape. It's a new mission. His mission is to be somewhere else. And therefore he doesn't say brach because you're in danger, but he says lech, Kishilach Hashem, in the same way Yaakov Avinu, when he's vayivrach Yaakov stay arom, brach el lovon ochi, he doesn't experience it as a brach. He doesn't experience it as a vayivrach. He experiences it as a vayelech chorona. So it's all about attitude. It's all about perception. It's all about how we deal with the circumstances. It's not the circumstances on their own that do it. It's about how we deal with the circumstances. Okay, Rabbi Seid gesund, Kol Tov, a guten Shabbos.